Calgary once had a rail system that served the city, but in 1990, Brian Mulroney, the Prime Minister at that time, made massive budget cuts to VRL, Canada's passenger rail system, and they decided to shut down the line that went through Regina, Calgary, but kept the Edmonton rail line. It's quite sad to see the biggest city in Alberta, which is also the fourth largest city in Canada, does not have a rail line connecting it to the rest of the country. But I will talk about that another day. I saw several articles saying there will be a rail line from Banff to Calgary, connecting from Calgary International Airport to downtown Calgary, and a station somewhere in the west part of Calgary. I probably at Keith. If this was to go through, it would be the first step in creating a commuter rail line in Calgary, connecting people from the fourth largest airport to the busiest national park in Canada. This is a great way for Calgary to gain more money because people just go from the airport, Stoney, and straight to Banff using Highway 1. But if they can go through the station, it could make more money and won't be as much traffic on Highway 1, which would be better for the environment, which means less cars and less emissions. In 2018, my family and I went to Banff, and we had a 2 hour long drive. It wasn't that bad of traffic, but if instead of driving, we would have taken a train, and also instead of waking up early in the morning just to get on Trans Canada. A train from Banff is important. The station would be somewhere in downtown, would be used in the old VRL station right behind Calgary Tower, which is called Tower Center. I think that I think it's going to be this because it's owned by Aspen Properties, and we have an old station. Why would we pay more money when we could just refurbish our station, get it, make it look more futuristic, and we can use it for other rail lines. The station could be a central station like Union Station in Toronto or Vancouver Pacific Central Station. I would like to see the train start up right away because the tracks are already there, but then I look at VR Rail and all the problems with that, and the fact that it's so tax subsidized. That would happen to any company who wants to build a train from Calgary to Banff using CP trains alone. So it's better to build their own tracks or buy some from CP and CN Rails, like how Toronto does it. Looking at this map, I found Alberta Regional Rail website shows us a train going from Lethbridge to Medicine Hat and coming from Calgary. I think this is a great idea. This map needs a little bit more detail, but it's perfectly fine. It's
I'll put Alberta Regional Rail's link in the bottom in the comments below to check it out. They have websites about train line from Calgary to Edmonton, information about the type of trains they want, and you can contact the main operator, Vern Ray Cock, and he's a good guy. Talk to him if you're interested about this. Bye. And if you are interested, you can also email me on this channel, and I'm always willing to talk. And if you want to help spread the word about this, bye.
but building all of this would be great for Calgary and all the small towns. The most populated cities in Alberta, other than Calgary, Edmonton, and Red Deer, are Lethbridge, the fourth, Medicine Hat, the sixth or seventh most populated city in Alberta. Calgary, the train station are still there. If we wanted to, all we would have to do is purchase the rolling stock and just travel them, but we would probably make them electrified, which, yeah, is good, but we need the trains going right up to get people moving. It's more important. Alberta Regional Rail came up with this idea that I also agree with. The trains would be the same double-decker trains as the ones used on GO Train and the West Coast Express. The city of Calgary's old VRL station is right behind the Calgary Tower. Right now, the province is looking to see if it's a good economic idea to build the train. I think it is a good economic idea because before the train was shut down, the train would make so much money for the city of Calgary, more than a rail line from Edmonton to Jasper. All they would have to do for the train is double track it so trains can go past each other without any problems. It will probably be a commuter rail. There will be 10 trains a day. A train from Tower Center going to Calgary International Airport, then going to Edmonton International Airport and Edmonton's VRL train station is also a great idea. because Calgary to Edmonton corridor contains a huge chunk of Alberta's population, 3 million people in that area, and there's no real service between them, and we have the option of building new tracks or using the old tracks. If we were to use the old tracks, we could start the train up in a couple of months, like I said before. We would have to refurbish the stations, and we can start them up right away, like using double-decker rolling stock, like the ones used on Toronto GO train and the Denver commuter rail. Yes, it won't be the best because it's using diesel, but it's still better than every single person driving there. And inside of Calgary, we can use electric bipolar trains where one's diesel and one's electric. Calgary needs to build a commuter rail connecting all of it if it wants to catch up to the other commuter rails, such as Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver. If it wants to attract more business towards it, that and Calgary's downtown is 40% vacant. Buildings, that's a lot. That's why I'm saying it needs to build more commuters. Be done by a private company. It would be done by a private company instead of the government of Alberta because the Premier of Alberta does not really like transportation. And if you don't believe me, look up how long it took for Alberta to build a commuter rail line, to build the Green Line, I mean. If we were to get another Premier that cares about transportation, possibly it could be built by them like Rachel Notley in the next election, which I hope she wins. But it is going to be a public and private funding, so that means a bit of money is going to come from the public and private. And I think in the future it would be best if we use hydrogen power trains like the one England and Germany plan on using, instead of putting electrical poles all along the rail line, which would cost a lot. This is this is what they want to do with the Calgary to Banff rail line, to make the trains use hydrogen power. If they want to see electrics inside the city, like I said before, use bipolar rolling stock to make it diesel outside the cities and electric inside the cities, so people aren't smoking in diesel. There is proposals to build a rail between Calgary and Edmonton. Some of these proposals are about high-speed rail and Hyperloop. Alberta does not have the population for high-speed rail, and it also does not have the economics for high-speed rail. The cost it would take to maintain those tracks would be incredible with our fluctuating weather. One part of the year we have -40 in that area, another part we have +40 in that area. The tracks would get damaged pretty badly, and any company that builds it, they would go bankrupt by building it a couple months after because no one would use it. Another reason why no one would use it is because the only way you can actually make a profit from it would be if you make it the same price of a train. Now tell me, why would you make something the same price of a plane ticket when you can just fly there instead? Hyperloop wouldn't work because Hyperloop is not gonna work. And if you don't believe me, go on YouTube, go on anywhere and just search up Hyperloop not working and you'll find out. High-speed training is nice because it shows off to the world like look at us, look at all that, but it wouldn't work for Alberta. Maybe in the future. A question that must be answered: who's going to have responsibility for it? If you build a train from Calgary, High River, Okotoks, Airdrie, Cochrane, and out to Banff, are all out of Calgary's borders, and most of them are not in Calgary metropolitan area. It's not going to be under them. Is it going to be under the government of Alberta or government of Canada, like VRL, a crown corporation? I think, like I said before, it's a private company. It's going to be under the private company with with the public watching it like a watchdog to make sure there's no problems. A rail connecting Calgary and Energy should be under it probably be under the government of Alberta if it actually cared about connecting. But I think a good name for it, the train company or the company wants to build in general, is AB Trains, Alberta Trains, since it's connecting all of Alberta together. Edmonton has a VRL line called the Canadian across Canada. In 1890, a rail line from Calgary to Edmonton was created. Because of this rail line, there were towns along this route that were created. Red Deer, Wetaskiwin. In 1985, the rail line was discontinued because of low ridership and was taken over by Greyhound. The Cal the Calgary-Edmonton border will increase in population in the future, and more travel between them is going to happen, and that means more cars on the road, which is bad. So we need to build a train line because if we extend the Queen Elizabeth Road or in Calgary called the Deerfoot, what's all that's going to do is cause more cars, more traffic on it. Extending the The Calgary Ring Road is set to cost 37 million per kilometer. If we were to double track Canadian Pacific Railway, that's the train that goes to Calgary and Edmonton, it would cost us 7 million per kilometer. The trains will run every 30 minutes at max 1 hour. I think this is a good idea. The station would be at downtown Calgary, YYC, Airdrie, Clearstone, Olds, Ainsville, Penhold, Red Deer, Lacombe, Palco, Four Nations, Wetaskiwin, Ludus, WEG, Edmonton International Airport, downtown Edmonton. It would be a great way for people who want to visit the rest of Canada without flying there or driving there. And for university students who go to Edmonton and want to come to Calgary over break, instead of flying there and driving there again, you can take a train and you can sleep on that train, and you can sit down, relax, watch watch the view of the train go by. Hopefully, we can get this train started in 4 months, because I've been talking to Alberta Regional Rail, and they are talking to the municipalities right now about letting the company use the train, letting the trains run through their city, and I think it's a good idea. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you for watching this video about Alberta regional rail in Alberta. There'll be more episodes about this. This is just the beginning of it. If you want to hear more about a regular train going from Calgary to Edmonton using that corridor, you can go to Alberta Regional Rail websites. They have a bunch of information talking about it, and you can talk to the leader of it. Like I've said before, it's going to be linked in the bottom section below if you want to see Alberta rail between Calgary and Edmonton via high-speed rail. I'll show you. I'll send a link to the bottom below about the proposed plan on the Alberta official website. If you want to see a link about high-speed rail, not high-speed, Hyperloop rail between Calgary and Edmonton, I'll also put a link there. If you want to see a rail between Calgary and Banff, I'll put the link to the Alberta official website for the proposals. The only one that's not going to have a link to the Alberta website is the one about is just the regular train, since it's just going to use CP tracks. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, and there's going to be more talks about transit and everything. If you like transit, subscribe, like, share, comment below, and there'll be more about this. Goodbye.